Welcome to Invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. As the current time of 10:02 a.m. on the Eastern Time on December 15, happy birthday to my father and my sister. Fun facts, they have the same birthday coincidentally. Respect to Ethereum, $100,270, that's about close to 3% so far. On the overall crypto market, I would say it's relatively suppressed, correlating with the equity market as well. If you look at the altcoin side of the house, it's a relatively mixed bag, but definitely leaning more towards this downside of the spectrum, just minimally about like 3% at the worst level. And on the equity side, we can see that we are heading to the next level of support that we've identified clearly at 385 as a first bounce, as we are clearly doing what we have, well, I guess analytically predicted. I'm not saying I'm a wizard, but I'm just saying that on a technical perspective, we are trending in an organic fashion as expected. And then with respect to the catalyst, obviously yesterday we heard from Jerome Powell himself, and apologies for not posting yesterday. If you look at my calendar yesterday, I was, if you look in, I'll just share with you. This is something that people probably don't do all the time, but this is how my days look like all the time, every single week. And I know it's like, why do you do this to yourself? And it all start to, from just like a lot of blank canvas, but eventually it will start to just percolate over and over and over. The next thing you know, I'm in meetings. So how many meetings am I in today? I was in one. I was catching up this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 meeting. So you could understand that I can get pretty destroyed by the end of the day. So sometimes I actually need to take a breather, but that's part of the grind, if I'm trying to be a leader, and I am a leader, so I need to be, just toughening it up, but sometimes like behavioral health is something that I need to triangulate better with. Enough of the rambling, but with respect to the CPI report that came out, it was in more of a regional perspective, it could show that in the numbers for November, the retail sales fell by 0.6%. It seems like the inflation has been countering the purchasing activities from the consumer side, which makes sense, right? Despite the more of a rosy CPI index as a whole, but if you look into specifically on the consumer purchasing activity on the retail perspective, you could see that it declined by 0.6%, despite the overall macro metric has just improved slightly by 0.2%. But with respect to the weekly jobless claim number, it fell to 211,000, a decline of 20,000 from previously, well below the Dow Jones estimate of 232,000. But with respect to the Fed survey for New York and Philadelphia, which is the tri-state region, showed that there's a contraction in manufacturing activity in December, all mainly due to, with respect to the inflationary pressure. But what happened yesterday, right? Just on a high-level synopsis, if you look into the news front, it seems like today the market is definitely digesting this in a more of a negative spectrum, which I guess it makes sense. But if you look at this as like more of a holistic perspective, the media is basically saying that, yes, we're going to keep rates hiking the U.S. economy until we, basically fall deep into recession. I mean, my perspective based on my read so far is that we have been rate hiking 75 basis points for the last 4 times so far. 4 FOMC meeting has been 75 basis points. This time, as of yesterday, we heard 50 basis points. So it seems like with respect to the optics of what's going on, we are at the peak of inflationary environment. But now is a question around, are the corporate companies, how are their 2023 planning in a corporate budget perspective, catching up with the potential slowdown of the growth of the economy going forward? And with a slowdown, that can, depress the economy to what seems like to be a recessionary environment. And right now, the market's just trying to understand, like, okay, how long So now it seems like we're peaked, but how long is the glide of this landing? So right now we kind of like hovering in the air, like almost like to the ground, like, just like maybe 5-10 minutes before landing at the airport. We just try to find a good needle point. But with respect to like how much glide are we going to be doing to, officially land the plane, and then subsequently take off again, that's something that the market is trying to understand, right? So with respect to trying to understand this, it means that you will see some sell-off because of fear. You will see some volatility because of just a mixture of different elements, right? With respect to, FTX, crypto news, the verbiage on the keyword perspective are pretty disgusting. It's like Fed is way too tight. Very emotional verbiage that drives a lot of fear mongering, which is not something we appreciate, right? So let's take a look at what the whales did as of yesterday. Obviously, yesterday was a monumental day, as expected. But if you look into, let me just pull this up for us real quick. I'm sorry if I'm like not prepared. So let's take a look at ARK Invest and BlackRock. So it seems like ARK Invest yesterday was, a mixed day. Nothing really pointing a needle. With respect to BlackRock, it was more of a, same thing. More of a sell day in comparison to a buy day. So feel free to reference this a little bit more. So now let's take a look at the technicals. So with respect to recording time of 10:08 a.m. on the Eastern time, we are at 12:50 again, right? The level that we try to elevate to was at 1350, but we couldn't technically not get there, right? Because the stronger level is 1250. So right now, with respect to the daily, we already knew that we've been quite extended. So what we need to do is kind of come down to 1250, glide again. On the weekly, you could see that we're slowly fusing together. So it seems like the technical is coming into fruition. But as you get over this like volatility on the monthly, it is showing good signs of elevation, right? Again, we're still hovering. We're still looking for a landing. We are landing shortly on a monthly. So I actually find this to be tolerable. Not a lot of fear for me. I think it's just trending accordingly. And with respect to the landing path that we ideally would like to see, right? I think Q1, Q2 would be a good turning point, but you have to also think about the tax time period. You have US. I think the timing is around like February. So Q1 is going to see some volatility, which is not a surprise for tax write-off. Just more of a taxation treatment. I keep saying tax over and over again. I think I'm having some brain fog. But with respect to Bitcoin, I would say monthly it's doing something quite comparable compared to Ethereum. They're trading on par very much, right? Still looking for a landing zone. Weekly, it is slowly to fuse together. And then on a daily, it is looking to kind of normalize a little bit more. So coming down to ideally 16,500 to 15,500 would not be a surprise for us. And just to remind ourselves that the index front on the equity side, we need to come down to a next level of 385, or maybe even somewhere around 375. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, right? And what we do is basically form this reverse head and shoulder. So this is the head, the shoulder, and the secondary shoulder, and then reverse up from here. Okay. So seems like everything is copacetic. Everything is trending according to the technical front. So no surprises for me so far, which is, I appreciate that. But have a good day, and I will check you guys on the next one. Take care.